Just, I mean, as you guys go into Mountain West play, I guess, what are you most proud of what you've been able to accomplish in non-conference and where you sit right now?
I mean, obviously going undefeated in non-conference is something that was a big goal of ours in the beginning of the season. But just being able to see guys step up and see guys play into their roles, find their roles during the season, even though it's been pretty tough, the coach been switching, rotations off and playing guys more minutes some nights and less minutes some nights, whether they deserve it or not. Just being able to see those guys fight through it, fight through that, especially mentally, and still be able to come out and perform and still go undefeated.
How much have you been able to watch the Mountain West this year? I know the RPI is for the conference is down quite a bit, but Utah State and Fresno State seem like they've kind of risen and will give you some pretty good quality games.
Yeah, I haven't really got to watch that many games just because we've been so focused on our non-conference schedule and trying to win out. But just seeing the scores, the box scores, and some of the players they've added to their teams. And I've definitely kept up with them. I've seen highlights of different players in the conference and different teams. So this conference is very slept on. I mean, there's a lot of good players. Utah State's playing really well. I mean, I know probably a lot of people didn't expect that, especially with some of the pieces they lost last year. But they play a lot better as a team. That's why they're playing so well. They don't really care who gets the credit as long as they come out with the W and do what they got to do. I mean, those guys share the ball. They play hard. Not only them either, but same thing with Fresno. Fresno was playing pretty well too. I saw them in the tournament. I saw them in that tournament. I forgot where it was at, but I watched a couple of games of those. So I mean, they got some guys that are playing really well and really well right now in the conference.
You were in this room lamenting about the way you were playing and shooting, and now what was it like to have a game like that in Utah? You scoring 30 for your career high.
It was big. I mean, obviously, yeah, that's a big confidence booster for me. But I just kind of got into a mode the second half where before we started, where I was kind of like, man, I'm just overthinking everything. Just I'm wanting the ball to go in so bad that I'm trying to force it to go in, and that's not really how I play. And I just kind of made I don't know what I did, but I just kind of was like, all right, I'm going to just get into this whatever mode, what I'm saying, just play, just hoop and play like it's pickup and just try to get back to having fun. And because Cody brought up to me, last year, you don't want to – there's already pressure just because of the expectations we have on the outside and on the inside that we hold each other, so there's no point in putting pressure on myself, putting pressure on our team, and just go out and just kind of hoop and just have fun.
How are things more difficult when you get to conference and you're playing teams that kind of know you better and you're playing twice? And it doesn't seem like there are as many surprises when you do play teams like this.
Exactly. Like you just said, that's the biggest thing. I mean, people, we'll be playing people 2 times, in the conference. And obviously you've been playing them over and over and over again for the last couple of years. So guys already know you. And so, this is obviously my second year playing. So guys will, play defense differently this year, guard me differently, try to force other guys to score the ball. But, the good thing for us is that we got a lot of good backup with us. We got, Jazz coming off and TP. We got guys that we can protect the rim and throw it up there whenever we need an outlet. We got JC who's playing out of his mind right now. So, we got a lot of good pieces that it's not going to really matter who they try to shut down. But then vice versa, the same thing with them. They added a couple more pieces in the conference with Utah State and Fresno and New Mexico. They got a lot of good guys who came in and replaced some guys who's left, whether they were seniors or just transferred. So just trying to figure out those new guys will be big for us too.
When they lost Utah State, McEwing was kind of like their guy. Why have they gotten so much better? How has Sam's role kind of changed? What is different about them? Even though it seems like on paper they might be a lesser team than last year.
Yeah, I just think, Sam, you can tell he's a good leader. Those guys respect him, and he's selfless. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't, like I said before, you can tell he doesn't really care if he's scoring the most points. There's games where guys will hold him to 4 or 5 points, and he's still trying to play really hard on the defensive end and trying to get guys open shots, whether screening or, just playing hard defense, getting on a loose ball. So you can just tell that he's just trying to win the game. It doesn't matter. He's a good leader for them, and guys respect him. And when he needs to turn it on and go get buckets, he can do that too. So he's a really good jack of all trades for them. But it just looks like they're just not as, I wouldn't say selfish, but they move the ball. They just play together. You can tell they're gelling really well right now when they trust each other with the ball. they're buying into what their coach is telling them, and they're all on the same page. So that's why I think they're so good. They're just gelling.
After this game, you guys go to the pit. I know you didn't play in the game 2 years ago,
Yeah.
but I mean, what do you remember most about watching that on TV and seeing that comeback?
Man, I turned the TV off when he was down like 20 something. I'm not gonna lie to you, cause I was like, I'm superstitious. So when I'm watching and we're down like that, I just turn it off and I don't look at it. And so when I turned it off, I think Cody was watching in the living room, and he kept yelling or something like that. Like, you know, he could tell that we would come back up. So I waited till we got within like 10 or something like that, and I turned it back on, and then they were already on a roll. So just watching the environment there, you could really tell it was really tough to play, and it's a momentum kind of environment. It's gonna be, the whole game's gonna be based off who's got the most momentum probably. Whether it's guys getting out and getting dunks, or them getting steals, or us just missing shots. But that's the type of game where we're going to have a good start, because that could be bad for us if we started off pretty slow.
I know identities change from year to year, but what would you say the identity of Nevada basketball is under Coach Muslim?
I mean, it's just deep. I mean, obviously he's always preached defense. He's preached defense the last 2 years, whether people believe it or not. But we got the pieces and the athleticism to kind of back it up now, and the length to do that. So. I don't really think that we've changed that much. I just think that, you know, that obviously some of our offensive pieces have changed and our defensive pieces have gotten better. You know what I'm saying? So just by the rim protection and the length and stuff like that. So I don't think it's really changed too much, but we just added a couple pieces. Same philosophy.
And with that whole dynamic entering conference play of they know you really well and vice versa, what have you noticed in like the past year when you went through it? What was the biggest key into getting wins and persevering through conference play?
Just playing through, you know, they're going to blow up your plays before you know, everyone's going to know what you're doing. They're going to know my favorite moves. They're going to know our favorite plays to go to. You know, they're going to know all that stuff. And especially guys since Washington did on us playing zone, which kind of hurt us in the beginning of the year. So a lot of people were trying that to start off games and stuff too. So, I mean, just playing through, you know, knowing that people are going to play a zone, people are going to blow up our plays, and just stuff like that. Just kind of just pushing through that little adversity, and just sticking with the game plan.
And how great of an asset has it been to have Jazz Johnson on your team shooting almost 60% from downtown?
I mean, it's big. Anybody in the country would want him on that team, especially shooting that percentage. I mean, I don't think any coach or any player or any team would want to pass up a guy like Jazz to have that guy in the corner to throw extra pass to, and know that 60% of the time it's going to go in. So that's huge for us.
Thanks, Caleb.
Thank you.
Questions for Coach Musselman?
What's been the biggest difference with Utah State? I mean, they lost maybe their best player, and coaching change, and roster didn't seem as good as maybe last year, but you know they've been playing really good ball.
Yeah, no, they've been really impressive, and the more coaches that we talk that they've played, just the respect factor from the other coaches is really incredible. They talk about how connected they are, how well they move the basketball, how well they cut. Obviously, inside they have a new freshman center who's really good and alters so many shots. And you watch the St. Mary's game, and I think that the St. Mary's guards, when they dribble drove against him, they were a little bit caught off guard at how good a shot blocker he was, especially early in the game. And obviously, Merrill's one of the best players in our league, one of the best shooters in the entire country. They look like a team that's really connected, really knows their roles, and is extremely well coached.
Like starting off with them to begin conference play, and I mean, at least you get to do it at home at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously, you know, playing against the team right now in our conference that's playing the best basketball is Utah State. So that's our home opener, and then we go to arguably one of the toughest places over the last 20, 30 years to play. Everybody in college basketball knows the environment that they have in Albuquerque. So we have two really challenging games, and we knew once conference came that there's going to be a storyline under each game. And you know, so we got to worry about how do we beat Utah State, and then and then have our prep for a road game and get back on an airplane.
I mean, Caleb obviously came out really big game. You said once he gets hot, nobody's going to be able to cool him down. I mean, how good is it to see him have a game like that entering, Mountain West play? And what was the difference for him, do you feel like, last game out?
Yeah, I think a little bit of it, we moved him to the point guard spot because his brother Cody got in foul trouble. And so when he goes to the point, we kind of scrap our playbook and we run a lot of pick and rolls and put him in some isolations. And, I think Barfield having a good first half kind of got under his skin a little bit, and there was a little bit of talking and so forth, and I think that Caleb came out, especially in the second half, with a little bit more edge of, hey, this guy had a good half, and I want to bounce back and dominate the second half, and his scoring was awesome, but I thought the big key was the assists, the shot block, the steals. I think those areas of the game were really good.
And Coach, with entering conference playing that funky dynamic of them real well and vice versa, what have you noticed has been the biggest key to persevering through conference play and getting wins?
Yeah, I mean, we've done we've won the conference the last 2 years in a row. Conference games are always hard. You play teams twice. Anytime you play anybody a second time, it's hard, and just the intensity level kind of seems to rise in a conference game, and so games on the road are much harder in conference. Having said that, I mean we've played 3 Pac-12 schools away from here, and we've won in environments like Grand Canyon's game was really hard, even though it was a neutral site with the 7,000 students they had, and Loyola was a really difficult game playing at Loyola. So we played in front of some what we hope to be some crowds that'll prepare us for the road, and we hope we have a great crowd. I mean, coaches poll 5th in the country. I think it's the 9th straight week we've been in the top 10 in the country, which to be in the top 10 in the country 9 straight weeks to start the season and for our university is really big time. And I hope we have our biggest crowd of the year so far on Wednesday.
What have been your thoughts in the Mountain West? I mean, their RPI is, I think, 15th in the nation. That's not where the Mountain West usually sits. What's kind of gone wrong for this conference over the non-conference play in your mind?
Yeah, I think the big thing, Chris, really just like the only thing that we can control is just our own schedule, and I think Coach Root has done a great job. I think as the season progresses, our schedule right now it's really good. I mean, it's in the top 40 or whatever in the country, and you put the net and all the things together, and it looks even better. So the strength of schedule is, whatever formula you use, it creeps really high, even in the top 10 under some formulas and such. And I think that as the season progresses and South Dakota State gets into their league play, and I think USC is still a really, really talented team, and obviously Arizona State with the ability that they showed to beat Kansas can win that conference. And so I think the schedule's been good, and I think that we've done a good job with it, and hopefully, just like we studied teams prior to us getting the job here, hopefully people are studying our schedule in our conference, and I know that the league office is encouraging people to schedule like we do, and then once you do that, you got to go win the games. It's not just about scheduling the tough opponents, but I think Fresno State's done a really good job non-conference, and I think Utah State's done a great job, and obviously us. I think there's 3 schools that really, really held their end of the bargain for the conference. Those 3 programs did a phenomenal job.
You mentioned Arizona State. I mean, they go out and beat Kansas, and then they lose to Princeton. I mean, you guys have been able to avoid those downfall games. I mean, how have you guys been able to do that when nobody else really in the country can do that?
I think, Chris, that's probably the thing we're really proud of is we have not slipped up against what's perceived as a lesser opponent in non-conference games. It's hard to do. And, last year you could argue we did it going into Christmas against San Francisco in a 1-point game. And so I think it's just, getting our group to understand each and every night how hard it is to win a game. And then when you have an experience like last year, like USF, that kind of sticks with you and you can use it as a reference point for the guys. But that's the biggest fear in conference play is when you talk about 6 games away from home and a lot of road games. outside of our own building. And then when you do come home, I thought that the 2 games thus far this year, through 13 games, that we could have slipped up and got an L was Akron and South Dakota State. Those were the 2 games that we didn't play our A game and we didn't play our B game. I thought we played our C game and still found a way to win those 2 games. But as this thing is now kind of in the book, so to speak, the non-conference, I look at those 2 games like, you know what? Those are 2 games that we maybe lost in previous years, although we haven't lost a non-conference home game yet.
You guys are going to be the hunted, obviously. You're the more or less unanimous pick to win this conference. Having gone through non-conference with such a target on your back as a top 10 team, does that kind of help prepare you guys for how teams are going to come at you in conference as the favorite? Because you've kind of been the team people have gone for even in non-conference play as well.
Yes, I think the big thing is for us, like I felt the first 1 through 7 games, I was even anticipating how do we handle the pressure? How do we handle the spotlight? How are we going to handle it opening night? How are we going to handle it in game 5? Then when we hit that 6th game away from home after the 4 at home, how are we going to handle these 6 away from home? And I think once we got to that 10-game mark, I think it's out of all of our heads. It's out of the coaching staff's heads. Now it's just about going and playing basketball. And I felt there was some nights that we did have some pressure. I think that's been lifted now. Even at halftime of the Utah game, we walked in that locker room and talked about a few adjustments, and I didn't sense any panic with the coaching staff or any panic with the players. And I think that playing with the target and understanding that everywhere we go on the road is going to be the biggest road game for an opponent. I think we're ready for it. Doesn't mean you're going to win every night, but I think mentally we're in the right frame of mind.
Caleb said he felt like he was playing with less pressure in the second half against Utah. Do you feel like he was putting pressure on himself in that period that was quote-unquote a slump, even though he was really productive, and that something was lifted during that Utah game? Maybe just moving to point guard, having the ball in his hands, and being more comfortable making plays for others.
Yeah, I think a baseball player, you can see the pressure mount after he goes 0 for 4, and then he goes 0 for 2 in the first game after an 0 for 4 night. And I think you watch a quarterback and he throws 3 poor passes and 1 interception. His body language, confidence dips, and I never felt externally that Caleb did any of that. And then certainly our job as a staff is to build him up and great lessons. I said it the other day, is my own son. He misses 2 shots and gets yanked out of a game, and I know he's going to miss his 3rd shot because his high school coach has no confidence in him. And so, I think it's awesome to be able to learn what not to do from my son's high school coach. It's been awesome for me to have a college-age type, person kind of get inside his head, and you get off to 3 bad starts, and all of a sudden my son's out of the starting lineup because they got off to 3 bad starts, but they won. And we don't want our guys to feel like that. Like, we want our guys to have confidence. We have got off to some bad starts, but on the flip side, we've really done a great job of finishing games. And I didn't think we got off to a bad start at all against Utah. I thought they were fired up and ready to play. And, having said all that, we go into halftime up 1, but we would have liked to have been up by more. But I think it's really how you close games.
I know we've talked a lot about slow starts. Is it just that teams come up super fired up because they're playing you guys, they're playing a top 10 team, and then you weather that, and then you kind of lay it on them thereafter? Do you feel like it's more that than you guys are just playing poorly at the beginning, or maybe somebody else is just playing above their level and you wear them down?
I think so, Chris. Like when teams come out of our, the locker room, the coach, our room is closer to the opposing team, and you can hear the excitement and the energy as they're coming out. And then once the game goes in the second half, you don't hear that same excitement because it's human nature. But I do think that especially playing away from here, I think that teams are extremely fired up to come out from the beginning of the game. And I guess an analogy is boxing. Teams are throwing haymakers right out of the gate, and we're kind of throwing jabs and feeling our way through the game and seeing which mismatches we want. And even South Dakota State, they dunk opening play, backdoor dunk a couple plays later, and those plays aren't going to work the whole game. And on the flip side, a lot of our quick hitters or our specialty plays, we save and keep in our back pocket for the second half for late game situations and such. So, but yeah, I think that, for bloggers or Twitter or whatever, people, the fans, my wife, my daughter, they go to the game and then they come home and, wow, we got off to a bad start. And it's like, well, we really didn't. The other team played really well, and the other team made their first 5 shots, and throughout the course of a 40-minute game, it evens out. But I think our guys have done a great job of having maturity throughout the 40 minutes of a game.
Coach, you stressed the importance of wanting to play better at home. What's the key to kind of playing a complete game on Wednesday?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we just can't take I don't know what word to use. We can't walk into the game and feel like we're at home, we have 10,000 plus people, we're going to win. That's not how it works. Like, you got to go earn a game. And I think our antennas, our competitive antennas, our antenna of fear, our antenna of respecting the opponent's a little bit higher on the road because we're on the road and because it's us against this arena. And I think when we're here, we have a comfort level of play. Me too. I drive to the arena. I'm like, yeah, we got our crowd here, and it's going to be rocking, and it's the place to be tonight in Northern Nevada. And our players feel that way, and maybe that we take that for granted, all of us, and maybe we need to bring a road mentality to the arena on Wednesday.